thank you for joining me. This is Deborah Ivanoff with AnsweringTheSacred.com and Blueprint for Your Success. And today, joining me from Seattle entrepreneur, Thach Nguyen. Thank you so much, Thach, for joining me today.
Excited to be here.
Today I've asked Thach to join me to talk about the 7 steps to turn any situation around. This came out of a conversation Thach and I have been having about the mental state and the emotional state of people recently.
Yes.
Thach, you've been finding a lot of people feeling really under the weather.
Hell yes, for sure.
Hell yes. And kind of under the gun. And we talked about meeting and me kind of walking you through these steps. I know that you've sat down and given this a lot of thought, because you get this question often, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. It's a question that's asked me all the time.
What do people ask you? What's the kind of thing they'll come to you and ask you?
People ask me, example, someone asked me recently, hey, Thach, I'm in a financial breakdown, and, how can you turn this around?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, where do you tell people to get started? What's the first step that people need to do before they can really to get started? There's a first step before they can even begin to get started, isn't there?
Absolutely. So, this is what I've been thinking about a lot, Deborah, because you and I talked about, and I look at my own life situation. So when something goes down, right, like that, then, what is the first step? And what I have came to conclusion is that when you're in breakdown, I wrote in the first step, you got to be aware.
Okay.
You got to be aware of what's happening around you. You got to be aware of what's going on. So most of the time, people ain't even conscious. Right? They're in breakdown, but they're just in reaction.
Yes.
And so I told my friend who's in financial breakdown, right, first thing you got to get aware, right? Like check in with yourself. What's happening? And I know you and I both talk about awareness, right? Be aware. I mean, what are your thoughts on being aware? You got to be recognized first.
I agree with you. I actually was just working on a newsletter article, and that was the first step in the process that I was writing about when you have the foot on the brake and the foot on the gas, which is a whole different topic, but everything starts with awareness, doesn't it? What's your favorite tool, Thach, if you're in discomfort, some sort of discomfort, how do you get aware? What brings you back to awareness?
The thing is, I think for me is when I get into these mental breakdown, I usually go into a quiet area for a minute, and I really just sit and just chill for a minute and stop running around and stop, trying to do things, I'm in real estate. So instead of going out there and trying to do more real estate, right, and I notice, I'm in a financial crisis, or I'm in a mental breakdown crisis, I usually slow down for a minute, and I go take a break, and I go into a corner, and I just sit there for a minute and just chill, and just really just sit with it, and just start noticing what's happening inside my body, what's happening around me. So for example, when I sit quietly, I start to notice, like, man, right, I'm fighting against my own self. I'm pushing against my own self, and I start to notice how much of the energy that I'm pushing out and how much is exerting out of my body.
Wow. I bet a lot of people can relate to that.
Oh, for sure, right? And then I start to get aware of all the different stories that's running inside my head. Oh my God, what if, this project go down? And, what if this thing bankrupt me? And what will people say about me? What will people think about me? Right? And as I more think about those stories that's not empowering, and my energy just gets drained. I get either exhausted. But if I don't sit down, slow down for a minute, all that's happening anyway.
Yes.
And it's just draining me, and I don't even know what's happening to myself.
Would you say that's the second step, Thach, then? Is the first is awareness that something's even going on, but that second step is to sit down and actually see what's going on?
I think the second step is, for me, what I notice is once you recognize that all these stories are going on and the energy is exerting out of your body, and you might even just start noticing that how the physical of your body start to have this ease and dysfunction going on, right? When you recognize, at least just recognize it. And the second step, I say, for me, is once you recognize